hide or fear. The SQ killed their own man. All the evidence seems to lead that way. There's a lot of questions. Why hasn't the autopsy report been made public? Why are all the bullets that came in on July 11th incoming? There's no bullet holes at Waistlight in the trees going out of the Mohawk territory. The bullet holes are at Waistlight in the trees, in the lacrosse box, inside where the Mohawk people were. The ambulance driver who was right there across the road to where LeMay was shot, where he fell, he went to offer first aid and the SQ prohibited him from doing first aid. They prohibited that man, who's run an ambulance service for years, to take him to the nearest hospital and waited for another ambulance to get there. That ambulance driver is convinced if it was a Mohawk bullet that shot him, there would be bullet holes in his ambulance behind. The Mohawk people, what I seen while I was there, was an incredible discipline based on their culture, based on their spirit and commitment to why they were there. Warriors is an English translation of a Mohawk word. I can't say it, Roskidagate, I think is the word. And what it really means is the keepers of the burden of peace and justice. Their role is to protect their beginnings, to protect their origins. And those men carried that burden. They knew that it was a big step if it came to a violent confrontation. Because we all know if it comes to violence, we don't know where it ends. If we look at the examples of Ireland, or look at the Middle East, once the violence begins, where does it end? But at the same time, these people had the responsibility to ensure there's something there for their future generations. They had to take a stand and let people know they were serious. What has always happened with First Nations people is we go and we're trying to negotiate, but we're just brushed aside, and they go ahead with their plans anyways. Continuously, it happens. We're seeing that right now is still going on.
Okay. Let me just interject. Hold that thought.
Okay.
I want to announce phone. It is the phone-in show. If you have any questions or comments about Oka or anything in general about the Native Indian movement, give us a call. We're at 734-4611. Please continue.
Okay, so it's still ongoing, all of the events
It
that
is?
happen. The siege on the Mohawk community is still ongoing. There's RCMP SQ surrounding and harassing people continuously. Just
What sort of harassment?
the other week, an 18-year-old was picked up by the SQ and charged, and in the process they broke his leg.
Broke his leg?
Yeah.
How can they get away with that? I mean, what are they going to say? He fell down the stairs or
The
something?
Canadian public has tolerated an incredible amount. There was a lot of non-Native support that happened this summer. But basically the Canadian public tolerated the overkill of force to address the Mohawk issue. And what they did by doing that was legitimize the Canadian government's ability to use it when they did the same thing to the squatters, just a little while ago. They came with an overkill of force.
The squatters where?
Here in Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
In the East End, is that what you're talking about? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's ongoing. The community is still under siege. There's been 116 people who have charges on them. All of us inside TC, and then people who are surrounding area, they've got charges on them. There's about 100, another couple, 100 that are warrants that are out for arrest.
All of us in, what did you say, SITC? I didn't catch that.
Oh, the TC, the treatment center inside Conestoga.
Oh, right.
That was the last 40 people who were inside there.
Now, what is this treatment center?
It's just a building that was where we retreated to, that we used, to sleep, to cook, all of that while we were there.
Okay, we've got a call. I'd like to
Okay,
take it
great.
before I get tired of waiting. Hi, 9 o'clock, you're on the air.
Hi, I would just like to say that I've enjoyed very much what you've been talking about, but I have one question. It seems that at one time, Oka during the summer, while it was occurring in terms of the media, was a flavor of the month kind of thing. What is happening now in respect to, in terms of the prosecutions and all that? They are being done through sort of, I would assume, like an Ontario or Quebec court, or a American court or Canadian court, and how do the Native people take that? In other words, their people being prosecuted by governments that they don't, perhaps may not recognize?
Well, we're being charged in Quebec court. The charges range. Myself, I've been charged with rioting and obstruction of justice. Each are a 2-year term. I could get 4 years potentially of time. I've never been inside a jail before.
Are you seriously afraid you're going to go to jail?
It's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
The men are facing possibly 14, 16 years of time. None of us are guilty of any criminal offense. It was the Army, the SQ, that actually shot bullets inside to our area. We're forced into the courts. The people don't recognize the jurisdiction of the courts, but we're forced into that. What the government is attempting to do is to criminalize the issue. And like they have denied addressing it in the political realm, they'll continue to try to deny it in the political realm by criminalizing the people, in a process like they've done historically to all people who stand up for their rights, whether they're Native or not. Political activists, people trying to address political issues, are criminalized. So it's going to be, we're now in another battleground, I guess you would call it. It's going to be a long haul. It's going to be expensive. They're going to try and cripple the movement financially. Us out-of-province people have to travel back to go to court. We went November 14th, and we go back February 5th, and they agreed initially that we wouldn't have to be there. It's just the lawyers setting trial date for preliminary hearings. But a couple of weeks ago, the judge rescinded, so we have to find the expense to get out there. And there's really no need for it, but it adds extra costs to what the court costs are. This first year's estimates are about $486 for court costs.
On a more personal level, what about your own law career? Where does that stand?
Okay, you're confusing me with Jenny Jack.
Oh.
Jenny Jack is, there was 5 women from BC who were inside supporting the Mohawk people. Myself, I'm of the Quagul's Nation. I'm a student at UBC, I major in political science. Jenny's in law school at Jenny Jack at UBC, she's of the Tlingit Nation.
Mm-hmm.
Her niece, Lou Jack, is of the Tlingit Nation. Georgina Michelle of the Statland Nation, Interior BC, and Cheryl Barney, also of Statland Nation. So there was 5 of us there. Jenny's still in law school. She's finishing off her 3rd year.
But if she gets a criminal record, how will she be able to practice law?
She'll have to face that when it comes.
Okay. We've got a call waiting.
Hey, thank you.
Okay, thanks for calling. 9 o'clock, you're on the air.
Yes, I just wanted to tell Beth how much I admired the warriors in their defense of their land, that although the soldiers didn't use any guns, they certainly did use psychological warfare with the searchlights and the tanks and the armies and the helicopter and the lack of food. And even though the soldiers were under orders to keep their cool, the warriors managed to keep theirs just by their own nature. And congratulations to all the Indians, and I hope that it never becomes a bloodbath, but I do hope that they keep up the fight for their rights. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope it doesn't come to that. It came too close too many times this summer. And the Army did use a lot of psychological warfare tactics, the helicopters every night, the lights and all of that, the food, the last shipments of food, all oranges were bayoneted, the chicken had been thrown on the ground and scuffed up, all of that stuff. But the Army did use violence. They did shoot live rounds of ammunition on 2 different occasions into the treatment center area, which is very small, contained the men who were armed, plus reporters who were unarmed, the women and the children who were unarmed.
What preceded those attacks? What prompted them?
It was September 1st, the day that they came in. Things were quiet. People were out at the front gate, and there was a 3 out of 1, like a automatic thing that came just hit nearby them. Mm-hmm. The people maintained discipline to ensure that it wasn't a full assault, and they didn't respond, because what the Army was trying to do was to justify a massacre. If the Mohawk people shot out and there's a confusion, they shot, whatever, they could justify coming in a full assault. And if that happened, I don't think I would be sitting here right now. That was a very real reality that they were looking for. All of the hype with the Army hype was of the arms and all that was to prepare the public, right, for just that, for a massacre. The other day, it was nothing. I woke up to a gunshot, one shot that came through. It was 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And that was the scene where Mad Jeff was out, don't fire back to the men. One of our men was, saying, hold your cool. The night that 5 soldiers crossed their razor wire, crossed another barbed wire fence, climbed a gully to a bunker where a spud wrench, a man who was 50 with 3 children, he hadn't been feeling well. It was cold nights at this point. He fell asleep by his bunker. These 5 soldiers, 2 held him down while the other 3 beat him with their boots and on a billy club to his head. He took 30 blows to his head. He almost went unconscious. They were trying to drag him out of the compound area. I was up doing phones that morning. It was 4 o'clock in the morning when he came staggering in with blood all over his face. We did first aid as best we could. His eye was swollen closed. His ears were swollen 3 times. This cut was 3 inches long. 5 to 6 major cuts on his head. They all needed between 3 to 5 stitches each. This one needed 7 stitches. We immediately requested of the Army medical supplies, a doctor, and a civilian ambulance to take him to a hospital. They were willing to gamble with that man's life in hopes that the people inside would respond, emotions would overcome, and we would respond. But the people maintained discipline and control. Spud Wrench was incredibly strong and strong. I don't know how he did it. But the Army finally got medical supplies in 3 hours later. The doctor was allowed in 4 hours later. He was there at the reservoir waiting within half an hour. It was 4 hours later. It was 12 hours later before we had an ambulance that would take him to the nearest civilian hospital.
Why did they attack him? Do you think they were ordered to, or do you think they were just...
It's unclear. They don't deny or